What the Hurley?
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats podcast, live from Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. I am, of course, Damon Fairall. He's Mr. Kevin Thomas. We are the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from PHNX HQ3 in downtown Phoenix on a Thursday afternoon. That's right, a Thursday afternoon. I think I was promoting a Friday show yesterday on the post-game show after thinking about it, after sleeping on it for a night, Kevin. But it's good to be back. A mere, 14-ish hours after our post-game show last night, talking with all of you fine people. Appreciate everybody for being here in the chat early. We got the Erika Day fan club here in the chat early, and we're fired up to be talking to Erika Day later on in the show. Can't wait for that. Gonna get into some Arizona women's basketball updates, as well as talking about Jada Williams apparently becoming the new Ari McDonald last night for Iowa State. Just unbelievable performance of a player that was, somewhat pushed out of town, it feels like. We'll get into all of that with Erika Day and the drama around Arizona women's basketball. But we got to talk about Arizona's win over Cincinnati last night. The number one team in the country beat Cincinnati by 26 points. It was a close game at one point, and then it became an absolute blowout eventually, Kevin, because that's just kind of what the Wildcats do. They continue to play the exact same style brand of basketball until it just wears you down. After having a night of sleeping on it, how do you feel about last night's W?
I feel great, especially because this is back-to-back days in this beautiful branded Bills hat. This podcast presented by Branded Bills. Use promo code BBPHNX for a nice little discount off your next order of the most stylish headwear in the game. The best way to elevate your brand with BB. We're talking BB later. Little Becky Burke with Erika Day. And let's just say that we're sponsored by BB. Not that BB, but the Branded Bills BB. Damon, I feel really good about last night, about going forward with this Arizona Wildcats team. I know there's some warts that we have to talk about, potentially freeze off of this team's body, so to speak. But I do think, right, that we're going to get into the three-point shooting in this first segment a little bit before we get to Erika here halfway through the hour at 2:30. But I do think that starting off this conversation, man, I'm just so happy to be talking about the unanimous number one overall team in the country yet again today, having some conversations on Twitter with people about, well, their three-point shooting's not necessarily all that, but we're practically perfect as a team outside of that. And now the fact that you can remain undefeated and still shoot the ball as poorly as they have from three and still have some lackluster performances in some ways as Arizona has is incredible. And so I'm thankful for that, and I'm more so just really excited for this West Virginia game, really excited for that BYU game on Monday because, oh my goodness, as Ross Hodge said last night after he beat ASU, this is one of the best leagues in the world, right? And Damon and I can come on this podcast every day and say how good the Big 12 is and how lucky we are to be watching these Big 12 basketball games, but you hear the coaches who have seen a ton of different levels of basketball say that this is one of the best leagues in the world, not just in college. It really puts things in perspective. So I feel good today, Damon. How are you feeling about things today?
I feel pretty like I do almost every single Arizona Wildcats game, and I'm almost bored. I'm almost bored of this team, and not actually. I know people are gonna get mad at me for that, but like they do it in such like a boring way sometimes. There's multiple times where I look at Kevin and I go, "What can I even clip as a highlight for this team right now?" Everything's a layup. Everything's a, back down hook shot from Motiejus Krivas, an offensive rebound putback from Tobe Awaka. Like, it's not like these guys are going out there and, sometimes you get the Koa Peat Lob City dunk show every once in a while, but, it feels a lot more of just like, we're going to get high percentage looks at the rim over and over again. We're going to shoot way more free throws than you constantly. We're going to play elite level defense, which is fun in and of itself, but it's just like it feels like this team, like you sit there and you go, man, we might be getting a challenge from Cincinnati tonight. Next thing you know, a 40-38 game turns into a 77-51 game. And you're like, wait, what? So we scored 37 points and they scored 11? What? When did that happen? And it happens so fast. It's incredible to watch. I can't wait to get to play some more of that elite level competition that we were playing in that non-conference, period a little bit more so, because I want to see this team truly challenged. And I actually think this team's head coach wants to see that as well.
I think so too. We do have some sound from last night's Tommy Lloyd appearance, as well as Brayden Burries and Ivan Karchenkov that we're going to get into here shortly. But yeah, I do think that it's boring, right? And I think that's intentional, right? Because if you listen to Ivan Karchenkov talk about the way that this team is approaching the season, you listen to Tommy Lloyd talk about the way this team's approaching the season, it's game by game, possession by possession, it's professional. That's a word that was used by Ivan Karchenkov last night.
I hope it's boring all the way up until the damn national championship, Kevin. Like, I say that like somewhat tongue-in-cheek more so than being like I'm actually sitting there bored watching this team play. But it's like let's do it. Let's just leave it up to no doubt the whole ride. Let's just win every game by 20. Sign me up for that. I'm all in.
Yeah, no, I'm all in for it too. And like I was saying, like it is just lunch pail, briefcase vibes from this year's team. Of like, what's our job? All right, say less. Take the cigarette out of your mouth, throw it 30 yards. Let's just go suit up, right? Like that's how this team plays. They roll up, they kick your ass, and they go back home and practice again to do it to the next team. And in terms of that, they've found themselves at 19-0 this year, Damon. Undefeated so far, the best start since 2013-14 when they were 21-0. The best win streak since, I think the early 1900s when you hit 22. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Someone fact check me, but I'm pretty sure it was like 1913 or something like that you had a 22-game win streak. And this year's Arizona team could accomplish that. Now, you have to get past BYU, right? You have to get past the Cougars to do that, but that is the level of team that we're talking about. And I wanted to cue this question up to you, Damon, because we do have sound from Tommy Lloyd, Ivan Karchenkov, and Brayden Burries about this question, but I'll pose it to you first. Do you care about being undefeated as a fan? Like, does it worry you at all?
In a kind of a ass backwards way, it kind of like it's almost negative in my eyes. Like I don't want to be unscathed going into the NCAA tournament. I don't think that that's necessarily the recipe for success. For say a team puts you down 8 points. How are you going to respond to that if you're not really used to being in those positions because you're just drubbing teams night in and night out? So I almost want to see a little bit more struggle, a little bit more, come from behind ability, and just, get battle tested in these high level games so that, that when the real possibility that you do play one of these elite teams in the actual tournament where it's single elimination, hardest championship to win probably in all of sports when you really kind of factor in, you're in a 68 team field. It takes one slip up, one mess up, and your whole season is done. Think about like the Clemson game, a team that had no business being in that game with that Arizona team, and yet Arizona has an off night. Everybody not named Jaden Bradley pretty much stinks it up, and Clemson wins by like 5 points or whatever they end up winning by, a really minimal margin. But it just goes to show, like, even better teams lose consistently when they have off nights. And I kind of want this team to experience what those off nights look like so that they are a little bit more hardened when they get into the moments that really matter. But ultimately, I think it's not that big of a deal. I think, the truly elite teams are able to take each game in a vacuum and be like, yes, this game means everything to me. Kind of like how we talked about with Tobe Awaka, how, he attacks every rebound as if his family's life is on the line, whether or not he gets possession there. And I think it's like that's somewhat of a similar mentality that the truly elite teams in college basketball will have, which is, yeah, we're undefeated. Yeah, we're the number one team in the country, but that doesn't mean anything when we're in this next game that we're playing. The game that we're currently playing is the task at hand. And so, yeah, like I'm in a weird kind of like, what's the word for it? Superstitious way. I'm somewhat like, yeah, maybe we could get a loss before we get into the tournament. So we're not like, it's not a colossal choke job, especially if we don't win the whole thing. But I don't think it ultimately matters too much in the grand scheme of things when you're talking about how Tommy Lloyd and how his team feels.
I love the way you set this up, Damon, because I feel like I don't even got to give my answer. This is what Tommy Lloyd, Ivan Karchenkov, and Brayden Burries had to say about having a perfect record, and is it at all a burden on them to be undefeated this far into the season?
Myself, personally, I don't really, if I see it, I don't really think about it. I just think, we're playing game to game. We're trying to win every game, and it just seemed to happen that we're 19-0. We want to keep going. We're just gonna take every game the same, like the first one, getting better, executing the game plan, and not thinking, oh, we gotta, stay on the streak or whatever. We're just, we're going out there to win.
I think we got like a pretty tight circle. So I don't think like myself, I don't really look at it too much because I feel like we haven't really won anything, like no championship or none. So there's to be happy because we're undefeated, but we haven't really accomplished what we want to accomplish yet. So we still got a lot to improve on.
That's a great question. I can't sit here and speak on behalf of my players. I always, they have a right to their own feelings. I think it's really important to just keep it in perspective. We've literally taken these games one by one, and we've been able to come out on the right side of them. Obviously, we have a really good team, but we're building for something bigger. My message to the guys this week has been, two things can be true. You can be doing great, but you still have to get better. And I've been on, fortunate enough and haven't been at a program that had won a lot of games. I'd been on a few of these runs before. And, I think it's important to not, winning's not a burden. Winning shouldn't feel heavy. Just to make sure that you're keeping it in perspective. And the most important thing, if you lose, you're able to respond. It's not the end of the world, and that last, if you end up losing your last game of the year, it's always going to be devastating. That's the one you can, hang your head on a little bit. But these other ones, you just got to keep it moving. There's no time to put your head down. And, a loss could be a great opportunity to learn. It could be a great attention getter. It could be, it could be a catalyst for your next, growth spurt. So I'm not sitting here. I'm going to go home and start preparing for West Virginia. And we're going to come out and compete and hope like heck we can come out on the winning side. But if we don't, I'm going to go home and I'm going to start preparing for BYU. And I'm going to hope we can come out on the winning side. Just keep it moving.
I think the one thing I like about that, Kevin, is that they all seem to be on the exact same page. And I've said this before about this season, and maybe you've said similar. Forgive me, I don't really listen to your takes that you give on this podcast. It's more just about me and my own world. But I do think that this team very much has the personality of its coach. I think Tommy looked around and got a bunch of guys who are just obsessed with basketball, obsessed with winning in particular. Koa Peat is not your average 5-star, top 10 recruit in the country. He's a guy who will, play with a broken hand to win his 4th straight state championship and then get surgery after the season, missing the McDonald's All-American game, something he probably dreamed about his whole life, but couldn't fathom sitting out actual competitive basketball games with his team, right? And I think you see that with, Brayden Burries even he played at a public school in LA. He wasn't just trying to go play at Sierra Canyon and play for a prep basketball team and just live that lifestyle. It was about his squad, the place that he grew up with. And I think you see that mentality instilled in all these guys. It's just they care about winning every game. They don't care about the record and what that says at the end of the year. They care about when they get in games, winning that game. You heard Ivan say that in particular. And then Tommy kind of reiterated some of the stuff I'm saying. Yeah, you lose a game, you could use it as a springboard, an opportunity to get better, to improve, to, get battle tested in that moment for when it does matter a little bit more. And so, yeah, I like that they're aware of it. They care about winning every game, but it doesn't seem to be the focus is if we lose, it's not the end of the world. Who cares?
1,000%. And I love that, like you said, they're all reading from the same script, right? And it feels like they've all been given the same thing to read, even though it's really just how they feel.
Yeah.
I love hearing Brayden Burries talk about having a tight, small circle, about how they're not really concerned about it, about how they understand that you can be unbeaten and still have things to get better about. And then you play Tommy Lloyd saying you can be great and still have stuff to work on. And I wonder who's teaching them that, right? It's Tommy Lloyd. And we talk about Jerome Tang. We talk about Bobby Hurley. We talk about coaches that in these press conferences have been telling you why you should fire them if you're their boss. Tommy Lloyd is the opposite. Win, loss, indifference, right? It feels like when you watch Tommy Lloyd press it, you're like, you know what? This guy knows what the hell he's doing after all. Maybe I should trust in Tommy Lloyd. Is that a crazy thought? And I think that last night, hearing him talk about it that way, it shows that, like you said, he has a bunch of like-minded guys in this locker room, and he understands that he can talk to them and give them the real of like, yeah, you guys are undefeated. You guys have done nothing yet. If you guys don't win another game this season, you guys have done nothing. There's nothing to write home about. There's nothing to bring back and be like, look at this trophy I won. There is no 19 wins trophy for the season, right? And I think that that's an important thing for not only the team to understand, but for Arizona fans to understand too, of like, we can be a little bit nervous. We can be a little bit superstitious. We can be wanting Arizona to take some more lumps before the tournament. But I think they're taking lumps already. They're just so good that they're overcoming those lumps and winning games and still learning despite it. People have been telling you, me, everybody, Damon, has been talking about how Arizona has not played their best game since the non-con, really. They have not played their A game since the non-conference. Undefeated yet still, right? And I think that that is huge because in years past, if you didn't play your best game, you're going to take a loss in this Big 12 conference. And now we're going to be, is the sky falling, Arizona fans? We picked up a loss. Oh, my goodness. We have a losing record in the non-conference? Is it over? Should Tommy Lloyd be exiled from the country? Right? But we're undefeated, and yet it's like, well, we haven't been tested. Second round exit or first weekend exit incoming. And it's like, guys, I'd much rather be undefeated with all these lessons than having to scrape and claw your way to a nice seed and also teach these teams the same lessons. So I'm pumped about that. And secondarily, Damon, they're talking about being great and needing to get better. As Sam Alberts touches on here in the chat, there are some areas where Arizona needs to improve.
For sure.
Anthony Dell'Orso getting out of his slump is certainly one of them. Sam Alberts said, we need to get Delly going again. Delly's offensive ability unlocks a ton of offensive opportunities for everybody else, and I could not agree more. I think that's an area of growth for this Arizona team, consistently utilizing Delly, or Delly consistently making good on his utilization, right? But also, Damon, I think, I don't know, I'm getting choked up about Anthony Dell'Orso's slump. I thought it would be over by now. I can't believe I'm still talking about Dell'Orso slump. It makes me sad. It makes me emotional.
It'll make a grown man shed a tear, Kevin.
It will.
That is one aspect of this team that needs to, round into a little bit better form. I mean, let's be honest about the slate that we've played thus far. Like, while Arizona's taking care of business and we admittedly say it's not the best basketball of the season, it's also not the best opponents of the season. And I think that's part of the reason that we say that is because you are in a closer game with TCU. You are in a closer game with UCF, and those are road opponents and, both decent teams, but it's not Florida. It's not UConn, right? It's not the teams that you were getting accustomed to beating in the non-conference schedule where, it was really juicing you up being like, yeah, this team is as good as anyone in the country. And obviously they still are, but you're right. It's not like it's been like the greatest run of form yet. This next game against West Virginia is your first game against a team in the Big 12 with a winning record.
Wow.
You look at the Big 12 conference. UCF is 3-3 right now, so they're close and they've played some tough teams to lead to that 3 losses. But so does everybody in this conference. That's the point of the Big 12 is everybody plays tough opponents. Arizona somewhat lucked out, I think, with like this almost trampoline of sorts to get into the harder part of their slate and give them a little bit of a leg up in terms of, the early parts of their schedule trying to win this whole conference. But you look at Arizona at 6-0, Houston's 5-0, Texas Tech's 5-1, BYU's 4-1, Iowa State's 4-2, Kansas is 4-2, West Virginia's 4-2.
Damn.
And West Virginia feels like by far the worst team of that group there, but albeit still a team with a winning record in conference. It's going to be an interesting matchup, an interesting battle. Like I think West Virginia, like probably not, in my opinion and Kevin's opinion, as good as even, the UCFs, maybe even the Cincinnatis of the world potentially. But they do have that winning record, and you have to respect that. And I think it leads to an interesting matchup from an Arizona standpoint before you even look ahead and get into that BYU matchup, which I think that'll be telling in and of itself. This team has to keep the focus West Virginia before we get to that BYU game, because West Virginia is a good enough team to catch you napping.
As Tommy Lloyd said, like, he gets out of this game, he watches the tape, and now he's preparing for West Virginia. And you try hard to win that game, and if you don't win that game or you win that game, guess what? You're preparing for BYU, because this conference is absolutely unrelenting. And we talked about it a lot last year, the Gritty Boys, that moniker, right? Having maybe some games overcoming a skill deficit with grit and tenacity. This year's team has all the skill to out-finesse, out-technique their opponents, but they also have the physicality and the grit. And we were talking about how some of these Big 12 games so far for Arizona, they have not brought their A game, or it has not been their best night. I think part of that's because this conference is a brutal battle. It is a fist fight in the Big 12 conference. It's what it is. We talked about it last year. We talked about it this year. We're going to talk about it next year and the year after that. You have to be physical to win in the Big 12 conference. And I think one of these things that Arizona is really learning, as especially the freshmen are learning as they go through this year, is that, yeah, we're winning, but they're also beating the hell out of us. Motiejus Krivas, right? I was watching Tommy Lloyd's presser. I didn't pull this clip because it didn't really fit with this conversation, but it's a beautiful story that Tommy Lloyd told about how after one of these most recent conference games, they're talking to, or Tommy's talking to Motiejus Krivas, right? Coming off the plane about how physical it is and how tough this conference is and how bad they're trying to beat up Mo Krivas. And Tommy goes, maybe we could utilize you in some different ways to try to mitigate that and blah, blah, blah. And Krivas kind of stops him and goes, Coach, I just got to be tougher. And I loved that from Motiejus Krivas, right? Everything we're talking about this year with him going from skilled big, who's large, to dominant big, who uses his size and skill to remove his opponent from the game. I love that this team is maintaining that grit despite having higher skill level than their opponents. And it's mandatory. This is what Tommy Lloyd had to say about this team still being gritty.
Yeah, well, we're here for it. We don't need to be pretty. We're not trying to be a pretty team. I always tell our guys, if we're not gritty, we look like a word that rhymes with gritty. And so, we want to be gritty. And that's our DNA, and that's what it takes to win at the highest levels of college basketball. And that's what it takes to win in this conference.
Not the first time Tommy said that one, right?
He said that in the mirror.
He cooked that one up a long time ago. He's just been kind of waiting to let it fly. No doubt, right?
Yeah, no, he was definitely like saying that to his son. Like, man, if we're not gritty, we just play like, oh.
A light bulb.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Light bulb moment. Yeah, Damon. Erika says, I'm ashamed at how long it took me to figure out what Tommy was saying rhymes with gritty. Oh, Erika. Well, lucky that we still like having you on the podcast. We'll see you in 7 minutes. But, yes, this team is absolutely still gritty, and you have to have that physical edge to win in this conference. Like, you cannot come in here and just bring skill to the table. You have to bring both size, skill, and strength. The 3 S's that we love about Three Amigos Tequila, you can transfer it to basketball, right? And I think that in this conversation about how Arizona can get better, it's maintaining that level of grit throughout the entirety of the game. And I also think that you got to maintain what you're already good at. And how do you become an even better rebounding team, Damon? Right? Your front court is already rebounding the hell out of the ball. Admittedly, Koa Peat could rebound the ball a little bit more consistently and aggressively. He's admitted it as much himself. So that's one area in your front court that you could address in terms of needing to get better. But Brayden Burries, we talked about it on the post game. We talked about it on a couple of live shows recently. This here podcast, combined with the Brayden Burries news, has been trying to spread the good gospel of Brayden Burries being an underrated rebounder. And when I asked Saul Bookman if I'm crazy for feeling like this man might be one of not only the talented rebounders of the team, but he might be one of the better rebounders on the team that has the best rebounder in the country.
I think Kevin thinks more about Brayden Burries' rebounding than maybe any other thing in his life right now. Every time I talk to the guy, he's like, hey, Brayden Burries, he's really good at rebounding. And you're like,
Dude, more rebounds than assists by a lot. He averages 4.7 rebounds, 2.4 assists, I think, man.
I think Brayden Burries in general, just his overall physicality is at a level that is very, very good. And that coincides with rebounding, that coincides with, ability to finish through contact, when he gets into the lane. Like, the dude's just kind of got a big body for a guard, especially a freshman guard who hasn't had, the time in the weight room that a lot of, the guys that he's going up against really have. It is pretty fun to watch, and it is crazy to say that, like, a team that has the best rebounder in the country, full stop, pretty much undeniable. They also have a 7'2" just giant who also is a rebounding vacuum. They also have Koa Peat, who, has his moments where he maybe isn't really contributing maybe at the level that you'd want to see on the boards. But again, there's only so many boards to go around for everybody. And Koa Peat is, a good rebounder in and of itself, of himself. And then you have Brayden Burries, who still finds a way to carve out 5 rebounds a night, it feels like. And you're like, man, this dude is really just, he's contributing on the glass, and it is fun to see. I think it's like, Kevin, what would be better for you? Like, your child's first steps, or Brayden Burries getting like 10 rebounds in a night? I feel like
Burries' third double-double of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
not even close.
Dude, how many steps is that kid going to take their entire life? A lot.
It feels pretty comparable too. Like that, that's kind of how Kevin sits there and watches this basketball team. He's like, Ivan Karchenkov, assist. And
I am watching it like Fernando Mendoza's dad, just like freaking out like at everything, just loving so much pride in this team. Yeah, man. But no, to your point, right? Like, Brayden Burries, incredible rebounder, rated R superstar here in the chat. One Heisey Richardson, 2.556. I feel like him and Ivan get severely under-talked about when it comes to what they give the team on the glass. And that is a very good point, right? Ivan Karchenkov, people forget, man, double-double in his debut, 10 rebounds, 12 points against Florida, right? Like, the man is kind of a multi-tool. He does not necessarily always utilize his rebounding. Like, last night he had 2 boards. UCF he had 1. ASU he had 4. But it's kind of, feast or famine with Ivan Karchenkov's rebounding, I feel like. But Brayden Burries has consistently been getting better on the boards, and this is what he had to say about not only his rebounding, but also how he can get better as a player going forward. And I think the specific question was if he feels like he's reached a satisfactory point with his rebounding.
I feel like I still can get better, But I feel like my rebounding, like, once I start rebounding, it just gets me going. And, like, tonight my shot wasn't falling, but, like, by rebounding, just helping the team out in a different way besides scoring.
It's been great. I mean, Brayden's a really good player. He contributes in a lot of areas. He's just gotten so much better over the course of the year. And, I just hope he understands that, you're not always going to have 27 next to your name on the stat sheet for points. It's just not how it kind of goes at this level. So I thought he was great today in a lot of areas. I thought he did a good job handling their pressure and handling the ball. And for him and JB to run the point against this team that turns a lot of people over, to have 8 assists and 1 turnover, it was a pretty impressive performance.
It was a really impressive performance. I did not even realize until I watched back the press conference last night that he's correct. Brayden Burries, Jaden Bradley, 8 assists combined, 1 turnover between the two. That is an incredible performance. He is correct. Where do you think we're at in terms of Brayden Burries' is, like, how do I say this? His rebounding potential, Damon, right? Like, he's not going to be Tobe Awaka. He's not going to be grabbing 10 boards a game, although I'm not going to stop him if he wanted to. But where do you think, like, how much better of a rebounder can Brayden Burries get? Or is it about the consistency, in your opinion?
I think it's more about the consistency. I don't know if I expect him to start, like, being like a 7 rebound a game type of guy. You know what I mean? Like, I think that the flashes you see are, that's kind of the ceiling for a guard. I'm not sure how high that ceiling really is, but I would like to, see it happen, I think, consistently a little bit more so, although it's not like there are a lot of games where, he's just blowing it on the rebounding side of things. I mean, 10 rebounds in the last one, 1 rebound in the UCF game, 5, 6, 9, 11 in the previous games before that, all throughout conference play. In conference play, he is averaging about 7 rebounds a game. So I don't know if you can expect anything more than that. I think that that's pretty much the ceiling. If not, it will get a little bit lower. But it does just go to show the level of effort and just general well-roundedness to Brayden Burries' game that you don't even think about the rebounding, and he's really good at it. 4.4 rebounds per game, as you said, almost doubling up his number of assists on the season.
Yeah, it is incredible. We're going to talk more about Arizona's development areas, their three-point shooting. Mr. Tyler Warden is in the chat. He dropped an essay on Twitter earlier about Arizona's three-point shooting. Worth the read. Go check it out. During this here break on the AZ Wildcats podcast, we got Erika Day coming up right after this. The Window Depot, Damon, is truly more than just a window store. Everything from doors to skylights to windows to countertops. Truly, if you have a home renovation project, you can get it done with our friends over at The Window Depot. At The Window Depot, you'll find everything you need all in one place. And not only that, if you are a contractor or if you're working really, what is it called? With elbow grease, Damon, and your muscles every day. I have soft, supple hands. I would not understand. But they have job site ready quantities. So if you're looking for stuff that is not necessarily sold in the amount that you need it, Window Depot will have it in that quantity, job site ready. And the most important thing, unbeatable prices and no membership required. Best price, biggest inventory in Arizona, made, locally trusted, with 7 locations out here in the Freedom State, with windows proudly manufactured right here in Arizona. So call the Window Depot, visit thewindowdepot.com and get started on your next project today, or just visit one of their 7 locations out here in Arizona.
Kevin, it's been a minute since I got to talk to my friends about the Don, and that is, of course, Don Julio, the #1 tequila that we're drinking when it comes to the Waste Management Phoenix Open, February 3rd through 8th. Don Julio is going to be taking on the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So much fun up there at TPC Scottsdale. Can't wait for it myself. It's a great tradition here in the Valley. We go out every year. We have a good time. We drink a little bit. We live it up. And no better partner to do it with than our friends over at Don Julio this year. They got a range of fun experiences and activities all week that you're going to want to be a part of, including setups on 2 separate holes. So over on the 12th hole, their setup at the Fairway House will involve margaritas on draft, taking a photo with that Don Julio truck, and even getting a complimentary water because we got to hydrate before we dehydrate out there in Scottsdale. But they also have a 5th hole location as well, where they're going to be located at the Fairmont for a personalization station, product samplings, and elevated Don Julio cocktails, among other things. You're going to want to get in on what Don Julio has to offer. There's a reason that the Don holds so much weight when you're talking about tequila brands, right? And again, there's no better tequila company and tequila to celebrate when you're out there at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So hit up Don Julio, check out their 2 whole locations that they have out there at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. And if you're planning on attending the tournament this year, make sure to visit Don Julio across the venue and tell them that PHNX Sports sent you. You might even see a couple PHNX Sports personalities when you make it on out.
We have the one, the only, the Erika Day. Welcome on back to the AZ Wildcats podcast, Erika Day. Not under the best circumstances for Arizona women's basketball, but nonetheless, how are you doing this Thursday afternoon?
Back-to-back nights of McHale always make me feel like I just ran a marathon and like I got physically assaulted. And if you did catch the women's game on ESPN Plus, you might have seen me acting up a little bit courtside with our good pal, friend of the show, David Veenstra. And so, it was back-to-back nights of idiocracy from Erica. So, I'm paying the price for that today. I had to go to work at 6:30 in the morning, not feeling my best, but I also can confidently say I'm not feeling my worst. So, I'm really excited to be back on the show with you guys. I heard Kevin make a joke about Mr. Harold Styled, and I just need to say, off limits today, unless you are Leah or Emma. I want no questions about Mr. Harold, all right? So,
Real quick though, can you just answer me this? What is going on? Is he dropping an album? Is that what's happening?
single out in an hour and a half. I'm actually having a little listening party at my house right after I'm done with this. But then he announced a residency, and listen, I'm very excited for him because 30 shows at Madison Square Garden is really cool. Like, don't get me wrong, that's awesome. 30 shows at MSG, crazy. What about us West Coasters? And also, he's taking Shania Twain to London. I'm sorry. So now I have to go to New York City, and I don't even get Shania Twain out of the deal. I I just I'm feeling a little butthurt about it today. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, "Oh, tour announcement at 10 a.m. That's super cool. Like, woo!" Then I'm flipping through. I'm like, "This is not whatever. It's fine. Go
Erika,
Cats. We're
you tweeted it, and of course, go follow Erika at Erika Lee Day. But he hit you with the "I'm fine in the West."
I really do have a picture in my phone for everything, and that one was just like, and you know what's unfortunate is I saw like real Harry Styles fan accounts use the same meme, and I'm like, where did you learn about that? Like, who taught you that? So yeah, I think I'm that. I think I'm so niche, and then other girly pops are popping out with the same pics. I'm like, all right, leave John Moran out of your memes. All right, that's my guy.
The Grizzlies Harry Style mashup feels uniquely, fit for one Erika Day in particular. But yeah, Erika, let's get into a little bit more of the things surrounding Arizona women's basketball and just the Big 12 in general right now. You look at the standings from a women's basketball standpoint, it's almost inverse of the men's standings. I only say that because Houston and Arizona are sitting there at the bottom. And in the men's standings, it's flipped. Houston and Arizona are the cream of the crop in the conference. We got that big win against BYU, which is BYU is a solid team, and it felt like maybe the premier win of the Becky Burke era, a springboard of sorts for the rest of the season. And it has not to be. The next 3 games, you lose to UCF in a game that you really probably should win there by 3 points. You lose to TCU only by 16, and if you played at that level against maybe some of these other opponents, you would have a few more W's. But TCU, the number 10 team in the country on the road, like that was a big game, for this women's team. And then you lose to Kansas more recently. What have you, what's your evaluation of this team been in this recent run of games?
I will have to give this coaching staff this. They can put together a extremely solid game plan. They took the lead over TCU at halftime. That was, I think it was 30-28 at halftime. And it was a gutsy performance by that group of players, considering they're without Michaela Purdue. This team always has some sort of foul trouble. It quite frankly doesn't matter who's on the floor. There's probably some foul trouble involved. So, it was a pretty gutsy performance with a super solid game plan, and it feels like they're always on the cusp of a super solid victory that you can in fact write home about. And then to the point I heard you guys talking about before, like they fall apart in the third or fourth quarter. I think in versus Kansas they had a 14-point fourth quarter, even the 11-point second quarter. Like, you can't have that. And they got out rebounded by the Jayhawks, 39-23. You're not going to win a lot of basketball games, getting out rebounded by nearly half. And we've talked about, like, this team is smaller. They're going to have to win games by having super solid game plans and sticking to those game plans. But in this game, like versus Kansas, I just listened to Becky Burke talk about it post game. Like, she was pretty frustrated watching that game for a multitude of reasons, but like the foul trouble has been something that has been a common theme with this team even before Purdue went out, and now that's so much of the game plan is on Samaya Sugapong's shoulders, and she's kind of still as foul prone as she is, and everything is just kind of culminated to a series of unfortunate losses. I think Becky Burke is tired of losing, and I think despite what most people probably would say if they were in her position, she's taken a lot of accountability and responsibility for the product that's on the floor, which in your first year, like here in this program, me personally, I can write home about that. Like, I don't need the win if she's gonna take accountability. Like, what's
But
that
what's
the Brent
the
Bennett
outfit
says?
looking like? Are we getting a sideline fit check from Becky Burke? I think that's what's missing from this program, Erika. We need more sideline fit checks.
I'm just saying that her fits are still fire. It's just not the main theme of the team's Instagram account, and that's super lit. And like, listen, I love the team creatives. Like, D, if you're watching this, like, you're one of my favorite people on the entire planet. Ryan, what's up? Love you. But like, I don't want to see your outfits. And so I'm feeling hashtag blessed that we've
It's
left the
funny.
we've we've moved on to accountability and away from a tired. It's nice.
Ooh.
It's funny, Kevin. You went to Adia Barnes, and I think it's understandable based off of what Erika was saying there. But I was almost thinking of in a different world on the men's side of things. One Bobby Hurley, one
Wow.
Mick Cronin, right?
Wow.
Like you're seeing the opposite of accountability from our biggest ops in live time over the last couple of days of being like, who can do it? Who can win here? These guys suck. Our fans are horrible. Our facilities are a dump. Who could possibly win with these bums is what Bobby Hurley is essentially saying in his press conferences. And then you have Becky Burke going up there and you know, she took over a program that was in need of a facelift, in need of a rebrand essentially. And we knew that it was going to take a little bit more of a long-term process rather than short-term. But you like to hear that Becky Burke is saying and doing all the right things. And I do think that in the long run, like that's going to benefit Arizona of like, yeah, people are going to want to play for Becky Burke because of that accountability, because of her mentality. And so, you know, it's not really a question to you, Erika, but I do love to see that style from Becky Burke of just like, yeah, I'm going to go up there, I'm going to take some accountability. I'm not going to throw these players who are clearly not really the caliber of what we need in the Big 12 under the bus, because that's just not going to benefit anybody at all.
Well, and like the first thing she says to open the press conference yesterday or 2 days ago, I'm sorry, after the loss is, you know, I'm tired of losing. And I think, you know, even despite all the conditions that I've talked about in the last 3 weeks, you know, getting hired late in the coaching cycle, the transfer portal, you know, mishap that is what this roster is constructed to be at this point. You know, the cards are stacked against her, but she's still hungry to find a way to win. And I think she believes in this roster despite maybe that some of their shortcomings, quite literally. So I think there's positive signs here. And like there are a lot of media people around the program that will say, like, oh, so and so many people are gonna leave. And it's like, okay. uh, I'm gonna be honest, like similar to a Dia Barnes team last year, like they weren't winning. If they all leave, so what? Adios, muchachos. Like, bye. I would rather like have some fresh faces and maybe a new chance at some wins than literally rinse and repeat. Like I got pretty tired of the rinse and repeat process. I was seeing, and I think that with Becky, you can see it in the way that she game plans. She can adjust on the fly, and so if she can adjust on the fly in game, then I just can't imagine what she's able to do with a year of adjusting in, you know, the transfer portal come April. You know.
And you were referencing it earlier. You obviously heard, because that's how microphones work. But you heard me and Damon talking during the ad break about like, you know, like I feel like Becky Burke can really coach her clipboard off. You know what I mean? Like I think she can go crazy with a clipboard. She just needs her horses in the stable to get the race won. And I feel like my question to you is, it's been a lot of L's. Becky Burke's tired of it, right? I don't want to keep seeing Becky Burke frustrated in these post game pressers as much as anybody else does. But in your opinion, Erika, when does this end? When does Arizona women's basketball get their next W? You have Iowa State coming up next, which I do want to talk to you about coming up here in a second. But when do you think Arizona gets their next W?
I think this is a tough question for me to answer because I think they game plan well enough to win any game. And if they stick to the game plan, then I think they have a chance at any of these games on their slate. Because, you know, while, yes, Iowa State is one of the better teams in the Big 12, Arizona State has been no slight this year, and Oklahoma State has been pretty solid. So the next three teams are pretty competent basketball teams that you're going to have to be playing. So you're going to have to game plan well, you're going to have to stick to it, and you're going to have to not be injured. So all the cards have to fall correctly for Arizona. Samaya has to continue to do what she's been doing on the offense, but then on top of it, not foul out. Cameron Kitchen got a little bit of an opportunity to cook in this last game, and she did. I think she had 19 points in this game versus Kansas. Uh, Yep. Nope, 16. I was close. But yeah, 16 points in 19 minutes, and it was if on 50% from three. Like it was a super solid performance in a short sample size that I think that she earned more minutes in this performance. You know, and Becky said that in the post game after. You know, she said, you know, Cameron Kitchen can shoot the leather off the basketball, but if she can't defend, then she's not going to get playing time. And she told Cameron Kitchen that pregame ahead of the game versus Kansas, Cameron Kitchen looked much better defensively in that game versus Kansas than she had versus prior opponents. So I think there will be some more leashes extended over the next couple weeks, and we'll see a little bit more. But I hope they stick in it with Iowa State. Iowa State's the only team in the Big 12 that averages more fans in attendance than Arizona, which is, always nice to actually go play in an arena that has as good of a vibe as your own, because I think it's kind of like selfish that they always get to play in McHale. Like, oh, it's the best. Oh no.
You mentioned Iowa State there, Erica, and I think that's the perfect transition to getting into the next topic at hand, and that is one Jada Williams, who, of course, was the prize recruit of Adia Barnes after the Ari McDonald era. Jada Williams has been a big name in women's basketball for a really long time, and she kind of proved why, I feel like. Last night for Iowa State, 43 points, unbelievable. Or was it 44? It was actually 44 points.
I think 44.
Yeah, it was. Jada Williams is an incredible
8
player.
assists.
8 assists as well. Missed 2 free throws at the end of the game,
Can't
too.
have that.
So she could have had 46 if she made both of those. But Jada Williams, it hurts to see her walk out the door and then be this successful. What was going through Erika Day's head last night looking at that stat line from Jada Williams?
Unfortunately, my experience in the past with head coaches here at Arizona has been that the clipboard maybe was a little terrifying to them. Maybe it didn't suit them so well. The X's and O's, that wasn't really their thing. So obviously the bridges were burned, and the groundwork was laid for Jada to leave long before Becky was probably even interviewed, to be very blunt. But man, what magic it could have been if we could have just gotten the duo of Brea Cunningham and Jada Williams one more season. Give me one more year. And listen, Brea got paid an arm and a leg to go to Texas. I'm sure Jada didn't get, no small coin to go to Iowa State. So hats off to them. But man, it does stink to think about what could have been with those players, because Adia just could not put together an offense to save her life. And unfortunately, the way that Becky's roster has been constructed, I feel like we're kind of hearing some of the same tone of things around the, like, oh, defense leads to offense. And I'm sure to some fans, that's like, I would literally rather never hear that phrase ever again. Jump scare. But I think Becky is moldable in that she can coach to her roster. And so that's what she's doing with this team right now. But I think in the future, when you have a Callie Hinder on the team that can get to her spots, she's a big that can shoot the ball. Like, I think you're going to see a lot more offensive play designs versus trying to get stops to be able to play in transition exclusively.
Yeah. I was gonna say though that do you think that Adia Barnes was watching that Jada Williams performance last night and went like, oh, I get it. Oh man, I should have been using her this way the whole time. Why was I doing what I was? I'm so silly. Oh no. Or do you think that she doesn't even understand that that's something that she should have been doing?
I do wonder. I can't help but think about how much Adia thinks about us. And I know that, it's the kettle calling the pot black or whatever they say. I talk about her every week on this show, but, rent free, and that's fine. But I just, no, I don't think she was watching, because I don't think she wants to watch. I'm sure she would actually rather never see Jada or Brea or Kaylin Gilbert or Maya Naji, or I could go down the list, honestly, but Madison, Connor, Lauren Ware. I could go. These people are still in college, and so I'm sure she would wish that she never has to see them again. But it's not like she'll have to see them in an NCAA tournament or anything. So
You think Jada had this one marked on her calendar, this upcoming game, Arizona versus Iowa
oh yeah.
State? When they were talking to her in the post-game, availability or on the court sideline, she said the words "on to Arizona." So you think that this one have been marked for a long time?
Unfortunately, and I think it's very sad, but it is what it is. I would be honored if Jada would put a 40 ball on us, but
A 40 ball and a
it's
losing
just
effort. I will say, go ahead, Damon.
what. But
All I
all I want to say really quick, I bet that Adia checks Arizona scores more than she checks Iowa State scores. So I feel like if she puts a 40 bomb on Arizona, she's probably more likely to see it, and that would bring me significant joy.
It's the Drake gif from the Life is Good video being like, oh, that's how that was supposed to work. Interesting. But yeah, I mean, I all I was gonna say was I honestly I feel like maybe just basing this off of vibes here between the three of us, I am less against Adia, and I like the jokes. I'm not saying that I don't, but I make less of the jokes than you two do. And I have a little bit more ill will towards Jada than I think that either one of you is giving off, because Jada quit on the team last year. She literally quit on the team. And so, like, I think it's for her to mark her calendar, and that's fine. Like, I think that she probably did, and it's her former school. A lot of people would do that, but it almost sucks as an Arizona fan, because this fan base invests so much in women's basketball comparatively to a lot of the other schools, in this conference across the country. And Jada Williams was beloved by Arizona fans until she decided that she didn't need to suit up for the team anymore. And so I kind of want to, like, I know it's not going to happen because we can't beat Iowa State, but I want to rock Jada Williams' world in that game and be like, we're going to light you up.
No, you're
Get ready to
not
learn
seeing the true
Samaya ball,
opportunity
dude.
here. Yeah, Samaya and Jada were high school teammates, so there's beef and blood there. I think you guys are not seeing the blood in the water like I am. I know you guys. I'm making jokesy, haha, 40 burgers here, 40 burgers there, but like, come on now. Come on now. I watched her play here live with my own two eyes in 4K for 2 years straight. 2 years, 2 games in a row. Come on now. So I'm not that stressed about that. I am stressed about watching a troll foul out versus Audie Crooks. I am stressed about the illegal screens that are to come versus the guards at Iowa State. That's what I'm stressed about. And I am stressed about the fact that Becky Burke said she's not getting any sleep, and now she's game planning for one of the better teams in the Big 12. Those are the things that stress me out. It's not Jada Williams. It brings me joy when Jada is great. It doesn't bring me sadness. I get your point though, Damon, but I will give her this. She played almost all season with injuries last year, and they were terrible. And they were terrible. They already lost to NAU. So
They
I
did.
don't really blame her for wanting to not be on the terrible train, because I was a terrible train to be on.
It was, but in the same sense that I blame
But I
Genesis
hear
Smith,
you.
Traden Stukes, and Dalton Johnson for not suiting up for Arizona football's last game, I blame Jada Williams for essentially quitting on her team and being like, "Oh, I'm hurt," and you're like, "Are you? Are you really? Or do you just not want to lose to NAU for the second time in this season?" I would venture to guess it's a little bit more along those
Jada
lines.
never lost to NAU. To be fair, Jada never lost to NAU.
She didn't play that first game as well. Yeah, you're right.
Well, if you're a team-oriented person, she did. But if you're not, she didn't.
Which
I will say this much.
she was kind of
We
like,
do-
yeah, you guys
Y'all
lost to
took that
NAU.
crazy L, and I can't believe y'all lost that game to that team without me. Anyway, we do have more with Erika Day on Arizona women's basketball, the matchup with Iowa State, and a little bit more Arizona men's basketball on the other side of our final break here on the AZ Wildcats pod. Leave a like, drink your water. Forgot to been telling you that. Don't go anywhere. There's only one number to call if you've been in an accident or have some sort of serious injury. It is 602-783-8841. And when you call that number, you will get in contact with the husband and wife law team, Mark and Alexis Breyer, bringing a ton of experience, hundreds of years of experience combined this law team has bringing to the table. And in Arizona, the state bar only has certified less than 1% of all lawyers as specialists in injury and wrongful death. And you guessed it, you bet the husband and wife law team are a part of that 1%. And with the husband and wife law team, you have access to your attorney at all times. Never play phone tag with your attorney. I assume that would be the absolute worst. Someone do you absolutely need to talk to playing phone tag? That's not happening with the husband and wife law team. And on top of all that, they're making some promises to you. You can cancel their fee agreement anytime for any reason, and you will receive as much in your pocket as they receive for their fee, even if they have to reduce their attorney's fee to do so. And you have the right to trust that they, as your lawyers, will take both the strengths and the weaknesses of your case and communicate that to you, so you're working with a full deck of cards. So if you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at the show link or show notes in our description there down below.
Shout out the husband and wife law team, the only place to hit up the only law firm to hit up if you're dealing with a personal injury or wrongful death. We also got to talk to you guys about our friends at Circle K. Circle K, an absolute staple of PHNX sports, and for good reason. They're trying to save you money, guys. That's right, you money. Inner Circle Rewards membership program. It's so simple to sign up for. It's free. You choose an email, you plug in a password, you do a username, and you're done. You download a free app, you plug in that phone number every single time that you fill up at the tank, and you'll save 3 cents off per gallon every time you fill up, 5 cents off per gallon when you reach premium status. But you'll start off saving 25 cents off per gallon with your first 5 fill-ups. Check out Circle K, check out that Inner Circle Rewards membership program, and download that free app. Again, there's all types of savings to be had on the Inner Circle Rewards membership program, Kevin. It's not just the gas savings, of which that there are aplenty, right? There's Inner Circle fuel days, of course, that happen about once a month, but there's all types of meal deals, energy drink deals, you name it, on the Inner Circle Rewards program app. You're gonna have to check it out for yourself by downloading that free app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details.
And we're back with the one, the only Erika Day, talking Arizona women's basketball. We talked a little bit of Iowa State, but to kind of wrap up that gift in a sense of that very high-profile game, Hazy in the chat wants to know, who do you guys believe there should be more of an emphasis on stopping, Jada Williams or Audie Crooks? And I will throw this to you, Erika, and I will reframe it in this. What if you're Becky Burke, what is even the game plan against Iowa State?
I'm interested because Becky hinted at like a more bigs in the lineup at the very end of the non-conference schedule, and I don't think she's started a two big lineup since then. I could be wrong, but it's been different lineups than I was expecting, to be very honest with you. I figured that she would want to start with a Chol size because the Big 12 is just so big comparatively, and I know that a Chol is maybe I hate to use this word because we are talking about children, but like a liability in terms of the fouling sometimes. But like she is a bucket if you can get her open under the net, like if she misses that, like you're not going to get a better shot on the goal than that. So, and for a team that struggles to find offense a lot of the times, I just hope that they can put a stop on one of them. It's not really Jada Williams for me. The Iowa State guard group is very good. They're very cohesive. They play together very well. So you need to kind of bring the same defensive energy that you brought in the last 3 games. Make a lot of tipped passes, box out early. That's going to be like the big note for these bigs, so that because I I don't want to be that person, but like you guys have all seen the clips. Audie Crooks does not play a whole lot of defense, so if you can play around her,
Can't
do that. Do
do
that.
it.
So just do that. And so I'm not worried too much about like the offensive side of it, but the defensive side of it, they need to be very careful because like you're playing in Iowa State, you're playing in Ames. You need to be aware that the foul calls are not going to go your way, and be wise of that early because it's not like Iowa State's going to go small at any point. So
Let's
they
muck
need to be
this thing
wise.
up.
Dude,
It's
yeah.
what we always talk about teams need to do to Arizona to try to even get it close to a game is let's make this as nasty of a defensive type of game as possible, right? Let's foul all the time. Like let's get weird. What else is the methodology or the game plan? I think we need like somewhat low scoring affair and an off night, inefficient night that we've seen in the past out of someone like Jada Williams. Like it's possible to stifle her, and she will take her shots. So it's not like impossible, I feel like, to kind of shut her down. I don't know if this team has what it takes to do so, but let's get nasty.
This is one of those times where I'm okay with calling for unethical hoops. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Why not? FOE ball.
Before this is the last thing I had for you. I don't know if Damon had a surprise question in the hopper, but the
I
Arizona
do.
State matchup coming up. BBMM, Becky Burke, Molly Miller, the battle of a lifetime. I mean, we're talking Ali Frazier. We're talking Bird Magic. We're talking Captain America Iron Man. I mean, this is a feud that's could split the country in half. You know what I mean? Where do you stand on that game? It's a rivalry game. We just saw Arizona State on the men's side give Arizona's men's team a run for their money when nobody thought that would be the case. Do you think that we could flip the tables on ASU women's basketball and give them a run for their money that maybe they're not expecting in Tempe?
I do. ASU struggled in the Big 12, and they're 4-3 right now in the Big 12. I think it could be a fun game. Rumor on the street is Erika maybe making her way up there with some diehards. I don't.
Ooh,
Word on the street. Rumor has it. I don't know.
Kobe
I
coming
don't know.
with? He was just talking to us about coming up.
Kobe and I are not really friends right now because you know when you ask a man like a question and they give you the answer that you obviously don't want. Yeah, Kobe gave me the answer that I do not want, and now he's trying to talk to me about being blocked by the news. I don't care. You
Dude,
said
that
I
was a
looked
crazy tweet,
fine.
Kobe. I'm kind of on Kobe's side with that. Getting blocked by
No,
the news
no,
and
no.
not even knowing it is insane.
He said I looked fine, Kevin. Like, I don't think you understand I was looking for an answer that was not that, and I just needed good or bad, and he gave me fine. That was
Honesty's not always the
nothing.
best policy, and I get it. I get it.
He
But
he's always honest. Where did we get this from? That's probably why he's blocked by the news. He's honest.
ASU though, can the upset be
Oh,
done?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think so. It's the rivalry game. Erica's going to be in attendance. It's going to be a fun time. I think that it's going to be a defensive like battle because Molly Miller both they kind of both are going with this defensive mindset right now. Should be a fun game. It should be a low scoring game. Should be one that you don't have to force unethical hoops in. It's going to be a fun time. And if you've never been to DFA for Arizona women's basketball game, quite frankly, you should go because there's always, and I do mean always, more Arizona fans in attendance than ASU fans, and that's in itself is a reason to make your way to DFA.
The sky's blue, the water's wet. Arizona fans care more about all their teams minus football more than ASU fans do, because ASU fans think only one sport exists on campus. But Erika, I wanted to get you out of here on this. You were at last night's game in McKale Center, Arizona, Cincinnati men's basketball game. And one Kerr Kriisa, there was a moment where he was checking in, and on our end, at least from watching the broadcast, audible boos. Now, when we asked Saul Bookman about the boos in McKale Center outside of that or during that moment, he mentioned to us that, maybe it sounded a little bit louder on TV than it did in person, that he didn't think that it was that crazy of a boo here in person. And also that there were cheers and a standing ovation from some during his tribute video. What did you kind of make of the entire Kerr Kriisa return to McKale Center last night? I know you care about Kerr a lot, so I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about it.
My good personal friend, Kerr Kriisa, correct. Yes. He did get some boos and he did get some cheers, and both of which I'm okay with personally. I don't know about you guys, but I can respect both sides of this take, and I feel the same way about Jada Williams. Like it's kind of a different coin, but same side of a different coin. And so I think that Kerr was received well. I think it's unfortunate that he was like coming into this game injured. I think it would have been electric if he would have been able to like actually give really meaningful minutes in this game because I don't think he wasn't, obviously he wasn't himself. He just looked really sad, and I feel like this game is like what Kerr Kriisa like has been dreaming about. When he went to West Virginia, he's like, oh, how can I play Arizona? When he goes to Kentucky, how can I play Arizona? Now he's at Cincinnati. Oh, I finally get to go back to McHale. I'm so excited. And
Wait. You know
then
what, Eric? Not to stop your ISO play here, but if he wants to play at Arizona in McHale so bad, you were on Arizona. You could have been. This could
they
have been
bullied
your
him out of
life
town.
every day.
I would let you have that, but I truly wholeheartedly believe that Kerr Kriisa did get bullied out of this town. And I don't really blame again, the people that were on that side of it. I didn't really blame them at the time for being as bitter at Kerr as they probably were. I do think there's a line with children. Sue me. And I know they're paid athletes now and they're not kids, but I do think there's a line. And I think that a lot of times, specifically with Kerr, I do think it has been crossed. Um, and maybe it's just like a K name at Arizona because I think that a certain level of lines also were crossed with Kylan, and like now he's at Illinois, and so I think we've seen a lot of similarities play out. But I think it was electric that Kerr was back in McHale. I think he was excited to be there, and I think he was bummed that he didn't feel like 100% to play there, because I think we all knew how electric that was going to be. And oh, what could have been, what could have been.
I
It
think
was
I
supposed to
think
be like a reuniting of like Erica and Kerr, and instead it was just Kerr looking sad and Erica looking longingly at him like, "Are you ever going to check into this game?"
Yeah, he did look very, very sad out there, especially in his 1 minute of play. He didn't have a smile on his face. I do think that he was somewhat pushed out of this program. Not really in a way of like, we need you gone because we hate you, but more in the way of, you're not really good enough to be the starting point guard of this team. We have Kylan Boswell coming off the bench at the time. He was only 17, and he was a 5-star recruit, and there were high expectations for him. You got Jaden Bradley in the transfer portal to come be the backup guard and the sixth man, and Jaden Bradley is obviously significantly better than Kerr Kriisa at basketball. And Kerr Kriisa, his final game was kind of what he did at that entire season, and it was 1 of 7 shooting, 3 points, 4 turnovers, 2 assists, and we lost to Princeton. And it was in large part, we lost by 4 points, and it's because, you have a net negative on offense in one position on the floor. Not that it was all his fault, but he was probably the worst player on Arizona in that game when you look at the statistics. It is sad, but I agree with you in that I'm okay with the booing if you cheered during the tribute video. For me, if I was in the building, I probably would have stood up, cheered, clapped. Yeah, Kerr, it's good to see you home, buddy. And then once he's checking in, I would have been like, are we all doing this? Boo! And that's kind of who Kerr Kriisa is. He's a pest. He gets in your head. Like, he talks crap. And I think that's almost like, in a way, I said this last night on the postgame show, but like, it's almost like a kind of it's like a tribute to him and who he is as a person, to be like, hey, now we're going to try to get into your head since that's what your job is on the basketball court. And I think it's somewhat fun, but as long as it's in like good, fun nature. But that's my take on the Kerr Kriisa situation. I didn't love to see him get booed, but if it's playful in nature, I'm okay with it.
I think it's a sign of respect, and
Yeah.
I don't think they took it too far. So good job, Zona Do. Proud of y'all for doing your big one last night.
We appreciate you, Erika, for hopping on and doing this podcast with us once a week. Erika will be back next Thursday with her weekly appearance, giving us a rundown and breakdown of Arizona women's basketball. No one better in the business to break down what's going on with Arizona women's basketball than Erika Day. You can, of course, follow Erika for her women's basketball takes, her men's basketball takes, general takes, Harry Styles takes, you name it, on her Twitter account at Erika
Bad actress
Lee
takes.
Day. That is Erika, Lea Day on Twitter. So go ahead and give her a follow. And Erika, we appreciate you. We love you, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye, Erika. Of course, Kevin and I are going to wrap up this show here of the AZ Wildcats podcast. We got a little bit more to talk about. We want to talk about Arizona's 3-point shooting. Are you concerned about the lack thereof? And what did Tommy Lloyd have to say? But first off, become a diehard. We're trying to get this Discord going a little bit more, our diehard Discord. It's been a little bit dry. We need some more people in there. We need more faces. We need more voices, and we need to drown out the ASU people that come into the chat and like to talk a little bit of crap. Maybe we go into their diehard Discord and talk crap to them. So sign up to become a diehard. You get access to that Discord. You can hang out with me and Kevin, chat it up with us. Just get our general takes day to day on random stuff. And of course, in the process, you get a brand new free t-shirt. Get that Red Line t-shirt. Potentially as part of it is worth the purchase alone. And then, of course, you get all the other added benefits of becoming a diehard. So get in on that diehard membership and get in on that Discord with me and Kevin.
Well said, Damon. Well said. Any Supporters Club member, drop your emojis down in the chat right now. Also, leave a like on this video. Subscribe. We're trying to hit 50K. We're very close. So
maybe
very close.
Maybe some MMA supporter and club stuff on the horizon. Kevin and I are working on how we can make the members only content on our YouTube if you become a Supporters Club member even better, and how we can elevate our game. So you let us know what stuff that maybe you would be interested in seeing. But I think Kevin and I are maybe trying to do a rundown of a quick little rundown of the UFC cards on this channel for members only. It could be fun.
Because, there's no two bigger MMA experts at breaking it down than me. There's no one better to talk about the outside foot battle of a southpaw versus southpaw than me and Damon, right? But
Kevin, we should make like a, you talk about, you were telling me off air how everyone wants you to hate AI slop, and yeah, it does suck, but every once in a while there's one that, you're like, oh, okay, that does the trick.
It's not so bad.
What if we did a little fake Kevin Damon UFC fight night poster? Ooh. That could go crazy hard.
Dude, honestly, I'm not going to lie. We should just make Noah do it. Like, take our photo in front of this white wall, you and me just squaring up, and then we make Noah, like, make it the coolest Godzilla vs. Kong-ass poster of all time. I think that'd be a ton of fun. And, yeah, Deborah, we could do a quick little tutorial on how to get you to Die Hard and Discord. I'm pretty sure you just access it through our website, and you're able to go through the Die Hard tab and sign up that way. Correct, Damon?
Yeah, I believe so. If you type in PHNX Die Hard membership on your website there, it will take you to our website, gophnx.com. You can it pops up, become a diehard, and you can join that community. And then I believe, it gives you more detailed steps. You have to obviously, give us your information and whatnot. And it gives you detailed steps on how to get into that diehard Discord lounge. But if you're still struggling with it, if you want to sign up and maybe you need a little bit more of a helping hand to kind of get you through that process, we do have, people that are accessible here, whether it's me, Kevin, even, Espo, if you send him an email, can help you get access to the Discord if you're having trouble or whatnot. Like there are avenues to helping you guys fit through this process. So yeah, if I would say, get that membership, and then, we can have the opportunity to kind of help you get all set up on that end.
And then to wrap up the show today, we just had 2 quick clips to show you guys. The first one is the 3-point problem, quote, with Arizona men's basketball this year. Is there a problem? I'm not too convinced. Is it doomsday? Is Arizona a first weekend exit because they shot 3 for 13 against Cincinnati in January? I'm not so sure as of yet. But don't take it from me. Don't take it from Damon. This is what Tommy Lloyd had to say on Arizona's shooting last night against Cincinnati, but also as a whole, just more broad sense, how he sees Arizona's 3-point shooting as it relates to their challenges they present teams this year.
You got to be relentless. You got to be relentless in your pursuit of that. And, if you meet a little resistance and you can't push through it, well, you're probably not going to be a good team. So you have to have some wherewithal. And, obviously we want to make, more than 3 threes, but, I don't get hung up on that. I thought that what the game called for was us to be more aggressive, get into the paint, taking care of the ball. And I think our guards kind of got a little more comfortable, figuring that out. They Cincinnati, has some, different coverages maybe, than we've kind of seen consistently all year. So, we had to kind of unravel that a little bit. And we appreciate the struggle. We appreciate competition. We appreciate having to be able to figure things out, because that's reality. I'm gonna let it play out. I mean, and kind of, it's a figure it out as it goes deal, and it's a game by game deal. I mean, I would have to see how a team's going to defend us just to force us to shoot a bunch of threes. Like, I mean, I know this. If our guys are standing in the gym by themselves, they make threes. So are you just not going to guard the whole team? I don't know. And put 5 guys in the paint? I don't know, because there's also this thing called transition, and you have to score on us, and you have to rebound on us. So there's so many factors that go into it. And I know isolating that single variable is so easy to do and get fixated on. But there's a lot of components that go into winning a basketball game. I'm watching a lot of college basketball, and I'll see at the end of the game, like, wow, that's a really good team. Oh, they're 6 for 27 from 3, and they're winning a really big game. So it's just game by game a little bit. Now, do I want to go 3 for 13 every day? No, but I'm not going to get hung up on it, because I thought we had a few good looks today. I thought Yvonne had a few good looks. He can knock 1 or 2 down, and yeah, just got to hang with it. But, to get 28 free throws and, 48 points in the paint, man, that's a heavy load to play against.
I mean, I think that's about as close as you'll get to Tommy Lloyd just straight up getting cocky with you.
Talk your talk, Tommy.
Right? Like, just straight up talking his talk, flexing his muscles, saying, look at this team I put together. You guys are so fixated, and I get it, right, on that 3-point number, because it's easy to look at the box score and get fixated on it. But look at the rest of the forest, right? We're dominating teams in the paint. Nobody can stop us. We're out-rebounding every team we've played that is not hyperbole, right? Our transition game is some of the best in the country. Also not hyperbole. We have one of the best veteran point guards in college basketball. Not hyperbole yet again. This Arizona team presents so many challenges before you even get to the three-point line. Do y'all hear the way that coaches talk about this Arizona team after they played them? The way they talk about, like, yeah, I don't know, like, oh, do you want to attack Pete? Okay, well, now Bradley's cooking. You want to attack Koa and Brayden? Because now you got Yvonne and Brayden and they're cooking you. Like, this is a team that they don't necessarily need the threes to beat you. And I think that is the most dangerous thing about this year's team, is they've had nights where they've shot the ball well and they've blown teams out. They've had nights where they could not shoot the ball and hit the side of the barn standing 10 feet away from it, right? But they still win. And my question to you, Damon, is everyone's so concerned about what happens when we get to the tournament. What happens when we get to March and we have a 3-for-13 game against a team that we shouldn't, and it's close, and Arizona's proven that they win that game every time they've been presented with that game so far, right? So do you think that's fair to worry about that going into March Madness, being like, well, what if we can't shoot?
Yes, because I think that you haven't played the caliber of teams consistently that you will face in a March Madness style tournament. I think that, you obviously there's the Floridas, the UConns, the UCLAs of the world, and you led those teams to not their best shooting nights, right? But who's to say that when you play those teams, if you were to play like a Purdue or a UConn again or something, if they had a hot shooting night, that wouldn't spell the end of your season. So I don't necessarily I'm not looking at games against Cincinnati, TCU, UCF and saying, oh my God, this team can't shoot. It's a disaster. But we could be potentially saying that down the line. That's kind of been my point the entire season. And I feel like it's pretty reasonable of yeah, you shoot poorly and another team shoots well. That's the difference maker in a tournament. And that's the end of your season. So yeah, I do think it's a slight concern, but I do agree with Tommy in that, how are you planning on making us just shoot threes? Yeah. That's not really a thing that can just happen at the snap of a finger. That's not really a style of basketball that has yet to be seen on a basketball floor. You know what I mean? Hey, we're gonna pack 5 in the paint and just let them spread it out. It's no, that really I don't think would be a recipe for success either for those teams. Arizona's good enough shooting to win those games if you're gonna just give us open shots over and over again. But I still think it's a concern. I'm not as carefree about it as you are, I guess.
AZ Cats G super chat. $3 super chat just for the 3-point discussion. Man, you're the GOAT, AZ Cats G. That's what goats do. Bah. That's all I got.
That was a sheep noise, I'm pretty sure.
What noise does a goat make?
Similar.
Can't tell me a goat doesn't make that noise.
That's more of a conventional sheep noise, I think. But I hear you.
Bah. That's the GOAT right there. That's the GOAT right there. Anyway, before I get this podcast canceled for bad animal noises, let's talk a little bit of Bobby Hurley. What the Hurley Burton was he doing last night? Let's just roll the clip.
Hats off to them. I mean, the shot they made on the right wing from 30 feet as the shot clock was expiring. There's things like that happening which bring the word doomed into my mind. That's the word when I see a shot like that go in, doomed, right? That's come on. We have not played well here in years, since before COVID. We had this place cooking before COVID. Now it's a sterile environment. We don't win here. We don't give our fans any reason to show up with enthusiasm to think that we're going to win a basketball game. And we have been dreadful at home for years. Even the year, I'd have to look at the exact record. The last time we did go to the NCAA tournament a couple years ago, I don't think we were great here. I think we were better freaking on the road somewhere, anywhere, So this has been going on for a while, and it's not a home court advantage. We can't win here, and bottom line.
Dude, it's that guy.
It's never been more over. If you watch that and imagine him just saying I instead of we, I failed. I can't win here. I haven't won here since before COVID. I haven't done. He is the reason that they have not done anything since he has been there. I know that Damon is like, that is a garbage pail program, which it is. It is a bit of a death sentence in a way.
Who's successful at ASU, Kevin? I'm going to continue to say this over and over again.
I get that, but that man can't coach his way out of a paper bag. I'm sorry. He can't do it.
I guess we'll see in his next stop.
Next to his brother who actually wins? Of course we're going to see it. We're going to see him win next to Danny Hurley.
I'm not talking about when he goes to UConn and coaches as an assistant for a year, Kevin. I'm talking about when he's the head man at a program. We're going to see.
Time will tell what Bobby Hurley has, because I don't think he got it.
You know, it's funny that I'm here, but like, I hope he's successful just so I can throw it in your face. Literally. Dude. That's the one reason I want him to do well now at his next stop.
See,
also, actually, that's a lie. There's two reasons I hope he does
it makes
well.
ASU look. Finish the second half. It makes ASU look what?
Like the worst basketball program ever. I mean, I think, you know, that best case scenario is he goes somewhere and he is a pretty darn good coach somewhere else. But I'm just gonna I stand by. Like, I obviously Bobby has problems coaching elite level talent. Like, when he gets top talent in his program, it flames out all the time, every single time. He needs underdogs. He needs guys that are undervalued. He needs to be in a conference that's like the Big East or something smaller than that even, and not be in a power conference, because a power conference is just not for him. He's going to go up against top level talent. He's not going to have the top level talent himself to coincide with that. I think get him out of Big East school. Get him in and around his area.
Put bro in the big sky. Bobby Hurley ball. One thing we can agree on, Damon, is that seeing those clips made both of us very happy last night. That was hilarious, seeing that. And not only that one, but the other one where he's saying, like, we failed, I failed, they're not listening to me, my voice is not working, I don't know what to do. They just don't want to listen to me. It's like, my brother, you brought these, they signed the dotted line to come listen to you, and then 2 months in, they're like, yeah, no, I ain't messing with what he's saying. He don't know what the hell he's talking about.
To be fair, I don't think he had much recruiting legs to stand on this year. It's why we were talking about, like, you can't really let Adia go into the final year of her contract, because she's just a dead woman walking at that point. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's similar in this Bobby Hurley situation of, like, he has 1 year left on his contract. Everyone knows he's gone. So who are you going to get at ASU? Guys that only are going to have 1 more year left of playing college basketball, and guys that have no other option to play at that level. Right. And so you're not going to end up with the most talented of teams in the world. I also, as I just said, like, I think that almost fits Bobby Hurley better. So it's, you know, I would think that a group like this would be a better group for him to be successful. Although, you know, I think that this, you look at this roster, it's about as bare bones as it gets. It is funny though. Like, that is a broken man.
I see a shot like that go in. The word doom starts entering my mind. I think doomed. Dude, remember last year when he was talking about like how hard it is to just wake up every day and be the Arizona State men's basketball coach? Unbelievable state that program is in. But I do want to give a shout out, and this is not something that happens very often on this podcast. I want to give a shout out to an Arizona State fan in the chat, because Jay Jables actually watches ASU hoop.
He does.
Tough times for an ASU hoop fan, but at least you're an ASU hoop fan. You care about the team, good, bad, or indifferent. Salute.
I used to produce, a little peek behind the curtain, I used to produce Saturday post-game shows for ASU basketball when we did them here at PHNX Sports when I first was a part-time worker here about 3 years ago, because no one else wanted to dedicate their time on a Saturday to covering ASU basketball. So I was tasked with it. I would show up. JJ was there every single game. JJ was there in every post-game show. There are a select 30 ASU fans that really care about their basketball.
A small
program.
Classroom.
And I respect those fans immensely. I really do, because it's not easy being an ASU basketball fan. There are times where it's not easy being, you know, an Arizona football fan, an ASU football fan, you know, not too long ago. Although, you know, the program is one of the 5 best programs in America now. But it's not always easy, but that's why we're fans, because that just makes the times where you finally do find success that much sweeter, because you stuck it out through the bad times. And so I do respect those ASU fans that are showing up to, you know, that dreadful arena every single night to watch their team play, tuning into all these basketball games. those are like very true fans, and they do have my respect.
Showing up to that sterile, doomed environment that only Bobby Hurley's tie could survive.
Like I keep saying, he's unloading the clip, man. He's just like, I'm gone after this year. Well, here's something. These fans stink. This arena stinks. I stink. These players stink. What can you do?
Literally. I mean, honestly, this is a different vibe to it, but it does feel like a guy who's put his 2 weeks in and is just kind of like showing up to work, taking an extra long lunch break, coming back from his break a little bit, you know what I mean? Maybe under the influence of something, having a little bit of too much of a good time. Just not really too caring about what is necessarily going on. He is definitely checking out of that hotel very soon. Do we got anything else on the Bobby Hurley side of things?
We do not. Poor Bobby Hurley.
The
writing is on the wall. Pour one out for our guy, Kevin. Hashtag extend Bobby. Hashtag Bobby forever, as Roberto put in the chat. I might have started that.
You very well might have.
I've been saying hashtag Bobby forever for like maybe
forever.
5 years at this point. And yeah, it's gonna be like, I keep saying it, but he's just the perfect villain. He's the perfect rival. Because you beat him all the time, and he's hilarious. But we're gonna miss him when he's gone. I will, at least. Kevin might not, but
no.
Yeah, things are not good in ASU land, and it is funny to point and laugh. That's for sure. Of course, if you like pointing and laughing with us, please drop a like on this video. Please subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 50K. We're almost there. We got more people in here watching than we do likes. So why don't we pop those likes up a little bit? Let's try to get those numbers even here. If you're here watching it an hour and 25 minutes into the show, you might as well drop a like on this video, but we do appreciate you guys. Follow me at Damon Dog, follow Kevin at KevoPost, and follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all social except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. We're going to be live again tomorrow on a Friday at 2 p.m., so make sure that you guys are there for that show. But in the meantime, appreciate everybody for watching this one. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, 2 p.m., AZ Wildcats Pod. Peace out, bear down.
And go Cats. What the Hurley forever?
We all silly like the mayor.